Hello everyone, and welcome to Managing Challenging Behaviour for Primary School Aged Children session 3. Today we're going to be working on building self-esteem and improving behaviour through praise. So we're going to look through our working together agreement, have a bit of a check-in and a recap of how things have been, talk about self-esteem and praise, talk about how we can make praise effective, talk about how we can incorporate rewards, what to do in the heat of the moment when we're kind of experiencing challenging behaviour, and then our usual kind of feedback, how things have been the past week and kind of how we're getting on with our goals. Again, if you've got any questions throughout, feel free to just shout out or kind of say or use the chat function. Either is absolutely fine. So as usual, if there's any technical difficulties, we'll start using the same link, or if it's a different link, I'll send it to you over email. Thanks for kind of all arriving on time, that's really helpful. Anything that is said kind of on the call or within kind of the recording, if you're watching, please keep it confidential, and please feel just comfortable to share what you want to. Don't feel like you need to share more information than you feel comfortable giving. And please keep yourself on mute if you're not speaking. That kind of avoids any feedback or any kind of children running around in the background. Keep kind of other phones on silent or off, but if you need to go make a call, feel free to do that, or if you've got any childcare needs or anyone comes to the front door, feel free to kind of nip off and do that. Yeah, it's helpful if you participate and take turns. It helps kind of have that peer support for each other. You might have experienced kind of similar experiences kind of regarding specific challenging behaviour, or kind of found ways of managing that have really worked for your family that other kind of families could benefit from, so it can be really helpful. And yeah, it's a judgment-free zone. So yeah, just kind of just start off, how's your past week been for you and your child, and kind of what do you kind of remember from session 2, if anyone feels happy to share?
Well, it started off being fairly good. Really looking at the one-to-one time and what we do one-to-one time. My youngest seems, even though I have given her one-to-one time, like I said last week, it is going to be the best time for her on coming home. But then she just seems to crave even more for me on that one-to-one time, and then struggles when I, give the other girls some one-to-one time. And then we had a bit of an incident last night. But the thing is, she learnt to ride her bike she's 9. She learnt to ride her bike at the weekend for the first time. And so we'd been out every night, and then last night we decided to go as a bit of a family bike, which was an absolute disaster, to be precise, because she just couldn't cope with it. And so I think I'll be really interested, because it was, what do I do in a moment when she was absolutely kicking off, being aggressive out in public, and my other 2 who said they would never go out with her again. And so it's been a bit up and down, but I've, the one-to-one time is good time to talk about school and things like that. So yeah,
I'm glad that's going well for you. And yeah, absolutely, it can be really hard when we're out in public and kind of children maybe doing things that they normally do at home, and often we kind of feel like other parents are watching or judging us. We feel embarrassed, kind of even seeing it from your other children that kind of feel a bit embarrassed.
They were.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, as well as parents, we've been there before. We've been in that supermarket and we've seen another mum or another dad kind of with their child have a tantrum, and often we actually think, oh, that poor parent or that poor grandparent. We don't actually think, oh, how embarrassing, my child never does that. We actually sympathise, and often when we're in that moment, other parents are doing the same thing, although it doesn't always feel like it. And it can be kind of really difficult to kind of switch off what's going on around and what other people might say. Is a really difficult thing. But thank you for sharing, Linda, and really exciting that she's learnt to ride her bike. That's a really big achievement for her. Yeah. Claire or Rachel, do you want to share about kind of how your week's been?
Yeah, pretty average, to be honest with you. I think she's hit 9, so she's starting puberty, so we're getting a few more hormones come in. So actually, she's been quite good about that. Actually, talking about sort of, you know, boobs hurt and things like that. But we've also, I did a sort of a free SPD course, which has made me realise some things that, to be honest, I knew anyway. But she's always been very desperate to go to the toilet very quickly. I'd never put 2 and 2 together. You know, and now I have, and it's annoying because I obviously do this within my work as well, so I've literally got it 24 hours a day. So actually that has made things improve, because I spoke to the Senko and she sent emails out, and now Harriet understands that and I understand that. Dad has taken a while to try and understand that, but he's sort of on board now. So actually in that side of things, behaviour wise, it's been quite standard, but that's actually been quite good. There's been sort of some new connections made and some new understandings made this week. So
no, that's really good. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Claire. And what about you, Rachel? How's your week been?
Well, if I'm brutally honest, like that.
We've all been there.
I'm pretty sure you'll all feel that. We'd actually had a relatively good week actually last week. His hours were increased at school by an hour, so he was doing 3 hours a day, and it was really quite successful and had a pretty good weekend. But going into yesterday, you could see he was extremely wired, and it just wasn't going to happen. Hasn't been to school today. And you know, it's quite apparent really that their phased approach was an hour too much. So I think we kind of gone from this high of crikey, that was a good week, to all of a sudden, like, I feel like we've gone sort of 5 steps back really to how we'd done. So it is 6 o'clock on a Tuesday and I've got to go to
Well, enjoy it.
I will enjoy it. I'm afraid I don't feel guilty because
no need to feel guilty at all. Absolutely. And kind of knowing as well kind of what is too much is really important as well, knowing that he's managed a full week, but actually that full week has been just, that's the limit for him.
It's too much.
It's kind of a good kind of point to go on, because you kind of, both you guys know at home and at the school can be aware that okay, that's kind of the limit there, we need to kind of keep below that, and if we don't, this is kind of the consequences. But well done for having a good week last week, so kind of sticking at it.
Thank you.
So this is our kind of helpful techniques ladder. We've kind of covered the ones at the base here, kind of positive attention, empathy and special time, and we're going to be focusing on kind of these ones in purple today. So a bit of positive attention, rewards, praise and encouragement. So a lot of the things we covered today you might already do quite naturally. It might just be kind of just tweaking the way we say things, or kind of changing the way we look at rewards, or it might be things that you do already, and if you do, fantastic. So praise in general. Praise is directly linked to self-esteem. So some people think that children can get too much praise and then they can get complacent, but it's actually kind of research has shown praise is really helpful if it's given in a productive way, and it's linked to self-esteem, that kind of children latch on to that praise and kind of feel that they are confident in themselves and their ability, and kind of helps to shape their view of themselves. And if they're receiving lots of praise, it helps them to kind of build up a picture that they are capable of things, and that they're able to cope, and that they can do great things, which our children can do. As challenging as they can be, they do have those lovely moments and those lovely sides of them, and have really great skills, and it's really nice to be able to remind them of that, both for ourselves and for our children. And the more specific praise we give, it is much more beneficial for our children. It actually helps if we can describe and be really specific about what we're praising for. It can be really clear for our child or children what they're being praised for, because if we say well done, good boy, good girl, or that's great, there's not that direct link for them between exactly what they've done and the praise. So it could be that they've got ready for school, they're down on time, they're ready by the door, and then you say, oh, well done, let's get in the car now. And they don't know if the well done is because they've got up on time, they've got the shoes on, they've got the bag on. What is it that they're being praised for? If you say, oh, well done, we've got out on time this morning, that's great, it's really helpful for my day. Or well done, I saw you putting your shoes on without making a fuss. Or well done that you kind of not barged past your sibling this morning, that's fantastic. Or well done, you've used your kind words when you've asked for breakfast this morning, or you've been able to pour yourself a glass of juice at breakfast time, kind of showing that independence. Being really specific kind of helps them know what they're being praised for. And again, like we've said, with that positive attention, if they're being praised for specific things, they know what specific things are getting that praise, that reward of positive attention, and they're more likely to do those things more frequently. And it's focused on the effort rather than the result or the talent. So if they go to pour themselves a bowl of cereal and it goes everywhere, we can say, oh, well done for having a good go, but kind of pouring that bowl of cereal. Kind of next time we'll get it all in the bowl, or things like that, kind of just praising them for having a go. And it doesn't have to always be kind of like a 10 out of 10, doesn't have to be a full result, but having a go is really important. And that's really crucial for especially things like anxiety. And kind of think for Rachel, kind of getting your son into school, kind of praising him for the days that he tries is just as important as actually managing a full day of school. And I think that's kind of across the board. Like again, Linda, kind of with your daughter learning to ride her bike, you kind of praise every time she picks herself up off the floor and gets back on the bike and gives it another go. And kind of those are the really natural things that we do see. But yeah. So a bit like we've talked about SMART goals, we can make our praise SMART. So we can be specific and sincere. Again, it can sound really funny, kind of being like, oh, well done for putting your shoes on by yourself, or well done, I really like how you played with your brother or sister, well done for sitting patiently and waiting for your turn. And if we're not used to kind of praising in this way, our children can be a bit skeptical at first, being like, oh, mum doesn't normally say this to me. But making sure it's really specific and really sincere, that we actually mean it. We're not just kind of saying, well done, good job, that's great. Sometimes children pass as a picture and it's not a great picture. And we say, oh, that's wonderful, great, thank you. But if we say, oh, I love the colours that you've used, or I can see you put a lot of effort into that picture, we can kind of be sincere in that sort of way. And mastering a skill through effort. So like we say, kind of good try, you did great, kind of getting most of that cereal into the bowl. You really kind of tested your patience there. I can see that was difficult for you to do. Well done for calming down. I know that was a hard task for you, all these sorts of things. Avoiding criticism where possible. And same with that, kind of avoiding comparison with siblings, if possible. That can also be another kind of area of conflict, and kind of if we're praising our children for different things, thinking if we can praise for kind of, oh, well done, you're doing really well on your test, you've got like 10 out of 10, and then your other child gets 8 out of 10, oh, well done, you've got 8 out of 10, kind of that direct comparison might be a bit tricky, but kind of saying, kind of praising them, oh, I can see this question looked really hard and you got that answer right, or I love how neat your handwriting was. We can really be specific in other ways. That's maybe not a direct comparison. Being realistic, and not being like, oh wow, this is the best drawing I've ever seen, it's absolutely fantastic. It might be the best drawing you've ever seen, and if that's sincere, say that. But if it's kind of maybe a bit kind of false, children do pick up on that and kind of think sometimes that it's not sincere, and then they don't take it on board, and that can be a knock to their self-esteem. And timely and immediate. If it can be given as soon as possible, that's great. So if they've had a good morning and on the way to school, saying it to them in the car or while you're walking to school, it might be a little bit after, but it's kind of as soon as, that's kind of has the best result, again, because children pick up on that. Whatever I've just done, it's kind of that action and consequence, and they make that link quickly if the praise is given, quite speedily in response to it. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, so this is kind of quite a general example. So instead of saying well done, I really liked your effort earlier today at practicing your guitar for the whole 30 minutes. And kind of, as we see at the top here, a little image of kind of praising effort each time, over time, kind of encourages our children to feel confident in themselves and abilities, feel happy to kind of give it a go, and over time kind of see those improvements. So kind of just having a think now, and feel free to share if you feel comfortable, kind of thinking about what behaviours do you want to see more of, and kind of what situations could you use more praise in, because the whole idea here is, if we want to see more behaviours, for example, like this child putting clothes away, and praising children for the times they do that, even if it is just putting that one pair of pants away, even though you put that whole pile of washing on their bed to be put away, praising them for those small things. Oh, fantastic, I see you've put away that one pair of pants, that's great. Would you like me to help with the rest, or do you think you can manage the rest? And kind of thinking about situations that you could use more praise. Does anyone feel comfortable sharing?
I think
I'd like...
sorry, Di.
Right, go on.
I would say I know that because my youngest is they think she has dyslexia, so spellings and everything is not her strong point. So when they have a spelling test in the week, and she always comes home and says, oh, you know, on the way home she says, oh, we had a spelling test today, and you know, it was 12 spellings, and you know, but I got 10 wrong. Look, you got 2 spelling right, so it's just turning it up the other way. So putting emphasis on what she got right, more than on the one she didn't get right type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those things as well, if I don't know if she brings a copy of a spelling test home with her, but even saying, oh, but you did really well, see those 3 here, you got the first letter right each time, you just got a bit muddled in the middle, kind of giving her confidence that kind of, again, that effort, that she's trying and that she is getting the right sounds, because it can be really hard, especially with dyslexia, kind of knowing, and especially with those spelling tests, often there is that comparison that the person sitting next to them got those answers right. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Linda.
With Harriet, it's compliance. If I ask her something, it's not really arguing back at me, but definitely clothes being put away. The example you gave, and it's getting over the fact that she has put them away. Okay, it may not necessarily be in the right drawers. Because they're not still on the floor, and how she puts them away, she has still done it though. That's a step for me. That's a step I know that I need to overcome, because you know, if you're going to open a drawer and put them in, why can't you just open the right drawer and put them in? So that's one of our sort of daily battles. That one.
Claire, I have pictures on her wardrobe and her drawers and everything, so she knows what drawer, what goes in what drawer, even because she would shove everything in the bottom of her wardrobe if she had we had that. So what we tend to do, what I've got now, is I've taken photographs of how the wardrobe is set up, what clothes go in the wardrobe, what's the knicker drawer, what's the sock drawer, what's the t-shirt drawer, so that she can visually see it.
I like that. We actually had to repair a wardrobe door the other weekend, due to the fact she shoved so much stuff in there. If you can't see it, mum's happy, sort of thing. So we had to fix the door. So actually, I'm liking that idea. I really am. Thank you.
And one of mine is like the simplest of things, that when we walk through the door, Eddie's got real sensory things, so he can't stand clothes on, basically. Socks, shoes. So he opens the door before the front door is even closed. His shoes are off, his socks are off. He walks in, he leaves his shoes there. He chucks his socks to the top of the stairs. His t-shirt comes off. I'm lucky if he keeps his pants on, and he'll sit down to unwind. So I keep trying to get him to put his shoes in. We've got like a shoe drawer thing, like tidy thing. So he started doing that, but leaving the drawer open. So that when you leave the drawer open, you can't open the front door. If that makes sense. So I found myself having to stop myself, keep saying, you could have just shut the door, the drawer, rather than say, that's great, well done, thanks very much for putting your shoes away. Because I haven't. I've just said, oh, or I've just walked into the drawer, or, you know, whatever it is. So yeah, so it's actually talking about that has brought it to my mind that I don't, I've got him as far as putting it in there, but I haven't actually praised him for doing that.
Yeah,
and
sometimes those
Rachel, well, sorry, I was saying, my little girl, she's got a huge sensory. She don't like clothes anyway. She'll walk around in a fluffy pair of socks and no clothes anyway. So that's her. But I had big things. She would start stripping off as she'd come down the drive and everything. So what I had to do, and because we have big issues getting dressed in the mornings for school anyway, so I have a visual dressing box. And what happens, it's just a cardboard box with visuals on it. And it's say, like, I put her school uniform in the morning, and then she picks, and it's got shoes in, everything, knickers, everything. And what happens is she puts a bit of clothes on, she takes a visual off, then posts it in an envelope, so it's done. And then because the issue is about coming home, what we do, she always has something in there, either, you know, a t-shirt, you know, because I have been met at the door with stark bollock naked, you know, when I've come home from work. And just so when she comes in, everything, I don't care how it goes, what she does with it, what state it's in, she just puts it all in one area, and then we deal with it later. Yeah. Because it was, I was just finding I had a trail of shoes and clothes and bags and everything. So everything went in this box, which I dealt with later. But that's taught her, right, this is where the stuff goes.
That's a great
and
idea.
Everything. So it's just a simple dressing box that, you know, just shows that what she's got to put in it.
Yeah, well, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good, Linda. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and kind of like you were saying, kind of Claire and Rachel, there, a lot of the tasks, it's kind of not finishing the task through to the end, and you can say kind of, oh, that's great, you've put your shoes away. Are you going to close the door next? Or kind of, oh, you've put your clothes away, would you like some help putting them in the right drawers? And then it kind of asking them that question, they can kind of answer it, and they might, oh, would you like me help putting the stuff away? But it also gives them the option to do that one extra thing, and then you can say, oh, fantastic, you've closed the drawer now, oh great, you've put them in the right drawer now. And it's not kind of often we kind of make kind of those comments which children can take as criticisms, like you say, kind of, oh, you could have at least closed the door. But if giving them the option to kind of do that task, kind of things like, oh, well, that could be on your mind, well, that's what you're thinking of. And sometimes they've forgot about it, and that prompt is enough to be like, oh yeah, I'm just about to do that now, and they can do it and get that extra bit of praise, sort of thing. And it can kind of ease the tensions as well. But those were great suggestions, Linda, thank you. And kind of next thing on there is rewards. So kind of you might do rewards in the form of kind of sticker charts, star charts. You might kind of have kind of jars with kind of cotton balls or anything like that. It might be kind of a different system that you have in your house. Kind of every family is different. But rewards are kind of best done if they're proportionate to the behaviour. So if you have a kind of token rewards, which might be stickers, high fives, cuddles, absolutely anything. It again depends on what your child likes. Some children are very tactile and want those kind of cuddles, the high fives, the praises, all those sorts of things. Other children kind of want little token stickers, or kind of a gift or something like that, or a chocolate or a sweet. Kind of learning what your child is motivated by is really important, or working towards pocket money. But making sure those rewards are proportionate to the behaviour. So if it's things that they do on an everyday basis already, making sure those rewards are different to things that maybe they find a bit more challenging. So if getting dressed in the morning for them is an easy task, and the reward for that is the same as kind of, I don't know, kind of loading the dishwasher, which is a difficult task for them, making sure those rewards kind of reflect the amount of effort they put into those things, or how hard it is for them. And again, that might be different for different children if they're siblings as well, but just kind of making sure those rewards are proportionate to the behaviour. It's helpful to use rewards for low interest tasks. So that could be things like homework, could be things like chores, it could be things like putting clothes in like a box because they're just not interested, they just want those clothes off. So kind of having a reward-based system for that is kind of one of the best things to do, because it motivates them to want to do those things. And again, even talking to your children, ask them about, okay, so we're gonna have this dressing box. What do you think would be a good reward if you manage to use this dressing box every day during the week? What do you think you would like your reward to be? And you can give them options, or you can give them kind of free choice. It might just be kind of a big cuddle. It might be kind of getting to watch their favourite show. It might be getting to play 10 minutes on their game. Absolutely anything. It doesn't have to be kind of buying them things. It can just be lots of verbal praise, kind of whatever they like. And we don't use rewards as a bribe. We want to see the behaviour first, change first. So I'm going to give you this lollipop so you can tidy your room. And we give them that lollipop after they've tidied that room. We want to see that behaviour change first. So then it is a reward rather than a bribe. If we give it before, then it kind of becomes a bribe. And sometimes we need bribes to kind of get kids out the door to get them to school. Not saying that bribes are wrong, but just knowing that the difference from rewards regarding kind of the order that they come in. So again, thinking about kind of what behaviours do you want to see more of, and kind of what rewards would your child respond to. So having a think, maybe you might have heard before of the 5 languages of love, and these kind of go through physical touch, quality time, acts of service, gifts, and words of affirmation. And there's the guy who wrote it, these kind of does one for kind of relationships and marriages, but he also does one from kind of parent and children and kind of teen relationships. And that kind of people tend to have a preference. So some people are very tactile and like hugs and kisses and all those sorts of things. Some people kind of feel loved and appreciated when they get to spend quality time, like kind of when we do special time. Some people kind of like those gifts, and those gifts can be small things like stickers, or they can be kind of things that they're motivated by, or kind of monetary kind of pocket money, or it can be kind of words of affirmation, that's kind of praise, kind of an acts of services, doing things for them. So some children actually might like kind of having help doing their chores or help with their home, those sorts of things. So kind of thinking about kind of maybe what kind of love language your child is, or thinking of how they like to be rewarded or respond. Well, some kind of kids respond really well to rewards, or kind of the carrot or the stick sort of approach. Some kind of kids aren't fazed by either, and you have to kind of be creative and think of something else. But kind of having a think of what do you think kind of your child will respond to, and kind of how could you use that to encourage kind of seeing more positive behaviours at home.
On that one, I know my love language is gifting. That's how I show my love, by buying things that they're interested in.
Yeah.
That may be because I have an ADHD diagnosis. So if they get a special interest, I'll be like, oh, let's get everything to do with that. Yeah. Whereas I know that probably I'd say her love interest would be for me to spend more time with her. Which so obviously they're very different interests. So it is trying to find the point of that where not only is she comfortable in getting from it what she needs, but also I'm comfortable providing it. Yeah. So I know that's one difficulty I would say that I need to get over as well. I sort of hope, here, have a present. Yeah, that's all good, off you go. You know, that's your reward. Yeah. But she then wants more than that. So that's probably that's a difficulty we have here.
Yeah. One thing that can be quite good for kind of marrying those two love languages can be getting a gift of a game and then playing that game together.
Yeah, so I tried that with a Harry Potter 3D jigsaw, because her latest Harry Potter. Yeah, she hasn't done any of it, but I'm 3/4 of the way through. Very proud of it, I must say. But I have started to think along that, something we can do
together.
Yeah, together, and she's very up for it. But when it comes down to it, again, it could be the sort of PDA profile. It's then not on her terms.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. But I know that it's a sort of hurdle that is there that needs to overcome.
Yeah, and being aware of it is the first step, absolutely. And even asking her kind of what sort of things would you like to be a reward if you put your clothes away, kind of keep your room tidy for kind of 10 stars on the star chart, what would you like your reward at the end to be? Is it kind of she wants to watch a movie together? Is it she wants to kind of go to the shop and pick something out? Kind of things like that would work for you. But yeah, really, really important that you're kind of aware of those differences as well, and kind of marrying the two is really important. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Claire.
I do. I'll just get it off the fridge actually. I've got one of these like reward charts for. I mean, I think my children are, well, a little tiny bit younger, 5 and 7. I forgot how old they were then. But they do these. These have been quite a good hit actually, because they wipe them clean and they choose what it is. They get to have one thing on a Friday, so we don't generally do it over the whole week. But it could be anything like a gingerbread man or a competition on the Wii, or so they have like 3 things that they have to write down that they choose. So one of them will be right for that particular day. And you know, and it's like make your bed, do your spellings, do your reading, tidy your toys away, eat your dinner, go to bed nicely. None of this works at all with Eddie. But you know, it wouldn't. But for Elsie, absolutely loves it. So because she likes something visual, she loves going to a tick, and you know, so I find that works quite well. But Claire, my husband is exactly the same as you in terms of like buying presents. So he's actually just about to start looking, well, just to start at the start of the process, about to see whether he's ADHD as well, which we wouldn't be at all surprised to find out. But his definitely is, oh, well, you know, that's brilliant, you've done amazing. So, you know, I'll get you this, or I've bought this. We had it just this weekend. I'd gone to my brother's for the night, and when I got back, he'd ordered our son a new football kit, and because he'd ordered a new football kit, he ordered, you know, our daughter like a new Barbie. I'm like, well, it's her birthday in 6 weeks. She shouldn't need a present. She just wants you to sit down and play Polly Pocket. So, yeah.
And it's those love languages, those differences of how we kind of show and want to receive the love as well. And kind of important to kind of highlight knowing what yours is, and you're kind of identifying what your children's are as well. Thank you for sharing, Rachel. Yes.
Karen, could you quickly go through those 5 again? I was writing them down. I've only got 4.
So there's physical touch.
Yeah.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Quality time.
Yeah.
Acts of service. And gifts. Yeah. So acts of service is like doing something for someone else. So enjoy helping someone out. So for kids, it might be that they like, when you're cooking, they might like helping you lay the table, or they might really like it when you help them tidy their room, or kind of doing making you a cup of tea, or bringing you a slice of toast when you're in bed, kind of doing something for someone. A lot of the time there's kind of quizzes that you can do online to try and find out kind of what your one is, and normally you have a top 2 or 3. You can have all 5, people do respond to all 5, but you tend to have a kind of a preference for 2 or 3. But yeah, they can be quite helpful. No worries at all. But yeah, thank you for sharing, ladies. But yeah, so kind of what we're talking about is kind of what to do in the heat of the moment. So we've kind of gone through kind of praise and rewards, and kind of what to do to try and encourage that positive behaviour. But what do you do when kind of, for example, you're out in public and kind of in the heat of the moment, you haven't seen that challenging behaviour at home or out, kind of what can you do? And these are kind of a couple of things. Just breathing. One thing is just breathing techniques, kind of helping you calm, modeling that calmness to your children can help them, bring them down from the tantrum. If you're kind of getting worked up and, oh, come on, stop it, people are watching, come on, we need to quickly go, or even shouting because we're getting very agitated, it's completely natural to get agitated, to want to hurry them along. We feel embarrassed, we might feel cross, we might even get quite emotional, and even kind of start welling up because we feel it's a bit much for us, and that's all completely natural. So just taking some deep breaths, kind of breathing in, breathing out, and making that exhale longer from the inhale. And it's something that we can do, and we can do it with our children if they respond to that, or just kind of modeling that calmness can help them calm. Sometimes just a distraction, the situation, whatever's going on is a bit much, kind of distracting them with a different task. So if we're in the supermarket and they're really upset about not getting a sweet or something, or being like, oh, do you think you could find the apples? I think they're in the aisle over there. Do you think you could help me out? Or, oh, have you seen this over there? Or kind of showing them something on your phone screen. Sometimes we need to kind of use those screens from time to time. But just kind of showing the distraction, maybe on the way to school, kind of pointing out, oh, did you see that bird over there? Or did you see that cute dog? Absolutely anything. And it's okay to kind of distract from whatever's going on and to try and kind of alleviate the situation. And then for yourself, it might be kind of balanced thoughts, kind of being thinking, okay, I can do this. And if we're out in public, being thinking like, actually, probably everyone's not watching me thinking I'm a bad parent. I'm a good parent. This is just challenging behaviour. It'll be over in a couple of minutes. I can get through this. Kind of, it will be okay. Kind of reassuring ourselves can be really helpful. But is there anything kind of on top of these things that you guys do that you find helpful in the heat of the moment? We've kind of talked before about kind of withdrawing attention or kind of moving away, and obviously that's a bit harder when we're out in public. But is there anything that you guys have found helpful in the heat of the moment that you feel comfortable sharing?
I know from my issue last night, I had to not talk, not respond or anything, because I knew I was so angry, I was so living what she did. I was just thought, if whatever I say at this moment in time is going to come out, because it's going to be such a emotional response and not a logical one. So I was talking, just being left alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely, that's a really good one. Absolutely, knowing that our response is going to be emotional and just kind of being calm, and that again can take a lot of effort sometimes to hold our tongue to kind of help ourselves be calm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Claire or Rachel, anything that you do in the heat of the moment that helps, or that maybe your partner does or your children do that help them in the heat of the moment? Claire, you're shaking your head. Nothing at the moment that comes to mind.
Not at the moment. I haven't quite got that far, which is why I'm here doing this course.
That's absolutely okay. Don't worry at all.
I just try to do the same, really, as Linda. I just don't say anything, or I'll just go quiet, and that usually after a while will stop him. Well, why are you quiet? Well, haven't you got anything to say? And then I'll just, as calmly as I can say, not right now, but I just needed you to be able to be calm, and now let's move on, or wherever it is, or if possible, I'll just sit on the floor, depending on where we are, because especially if we're out, because they don't expect, and neither do other adults, they don't expect the parent just to sit on the floor. That he will sit on the floor with me. Okay, so that's fine. So then we kind of ride it out through the storm, and then get up and carry on with whatever it is we're doing. But I think definitely there's no point trying to have any sort of conversation, because they're never going to hear it. It just antagonises him further, unless it's really serious, like dangerous or whatever. Then obviously you can't help it. But in the main, I just try to keep still, which is not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really good tip as well, kind of sitting down, kind of doing something unexpected, and kind of getting to their level. And again, that's again modeling kind of what you're saying, kind of being calm, not responding. That is modeling emotional regulation. You're in the heat of the moment, and you could easily start shouting back, kind of having a tantrum, telling them off. But actually sitting there being calm shows them, actually, okay, things are difficult right now, but we can take some time and then we can start again. But yeah, I think that's a really good tip. Thank you for sharing, Rachel. Yeah, so it's kind of a bit of a shorter one today, but this kind of week does the practice to think of and practice smart praise. So kind of making it really specific, making sure it's kind of realistic, kind of giving it in a timely fashion if possible. considering appropriate rewards for our children. So if we're kind of thinking about their love language, what our love languages are, kind of making sure we're kind of marrying the two, and making sure the rewards, the kids are motivated to get the rewards. That's often as well when we do kind of star charts and stuff, getting them involved. Kind of Rachel, kind of what you're saying with Elsie, getting her to pick things on a reward chart, that's a really good way to, that she, you know, that she's motivated to do those things and to kind of get the reward that she wants. Distract, breathe, or calm thoughts when it gets tough, or kind of using the tips that you've shared kind of with each other today, and really helpful. Kind of remembering what we've talked before about positive attention and special times, and kind of praising those times we're seeing all those really good behaviours, all those little kind of pockets of joy, and kind of having that quality time with our children. And like kind of you were saying, Linda, you're kind of seeing that the special time's working really well, but it's just kind of that transitioning or kind of sharing it between children. Hopefully kind of the more you do it, she kind of gets a bit more used to it as well. But kind of, yeah, work in progress. And as well, kind of remembering to recharge, having that glass of wine when you need it is okay. We do need it from time to time, but remembering kind of we are important too. We often put our children first all the time, which is fantastic. It shows what fantastic parents you all are. But you need to kind of put yourself at first sometimes too, that because you can't kind of pour from an empty cup, and you need to look after yourself so you can look after your children as best that you can. So yeah, that's our normal feedback. If you can just put in the chat function, and then I'll stop the recording and we'll just have a little chat, and you can ask any questions or anything more specific. But how are you feeling this week from 0 to 10? 0 being kind of being a really difficult week, and 10 being a brilliant week. Your group goal to learn more about challenging behaviour and different ways to help manage your child's behaviour from 0 to 10, 0 being don't know anything and 10 knowing at all, and then your personal goal, so from 0 to 10. And then next week we're going to talk about the importance of routine and boundaries. I'm just going to stop the recording, and then we can talk about